Welcome back to Takacs McGinnis Elder Care Law Hour. I'm Barbara McGinnis, where we talk about conditions that are related to chronic care for older people, folks with disability, sudden illnesses. And in today's episode in particular, we're going to be talking about, we'll continue to talk about transportation needs.
Right, and I'm Tim Takacs. So maybe you are a family member who has noticed that your loved one really shouldn't be driving anymore and maybe should give up the keys. Today we are speaking with the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security. Not all of it, but that would be actually Michael Hogan, who is the Director of Driver Services Issuance.
That is correct.
Did I get that right?
That is correct, yes.
All right, now, as you can imagine, driving is a very hot topic for families we work with. So is there any help in the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security when it comes to taking away the keys?
Well, the department can't take away the keys. That's left up to the family and friends. However, we can take the driving privilege away when there's evidence presented that it's an unsafe driver.
So that's the whole difference between driving with a license and not, basically. You can't make somebody stop driving, but you can take the license away from them, their permission. So how do you report an unsafe driver?
Well, anyone can report an unsafe driver. What we call it is a referral. And what we have on our department's website, there's a form which is called a special examination form, and an individual will complete that form and submit it to the department.
Okay, so there's a form on the website of the Tennessee Department of Safety.
That is correct. Our website.
And we're going to have it. We're going to have the contact information up. So I just want to make sure,
yes,
because this is a really big topic for our clients and our clients' families.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you know of it the same way, is that you
yes,
get a lot of this.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
And we've said, can that form be completed anonymously?
It cannot.
Okay.
The form has to be completed as part of the file when we start the investigation. And so the driver can request a copy. They pay $5 for the record, and then we'll provide them that with the information who did the reporting.
Okay, so if daughter fills out the form and she puts her name on there, then the driver, if he or she knows to go ask for it, and can scrounge up $5.
Yes,
they can know that the daughter snitched on.
That is correct.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
We like to not use the word snitch, but they made us aware that was a condition.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so do you ever have doctors' offices make those reports?
We do, and in fact, if a doctor, a medical provider provides a referral, that's an immediate suspension. And what happens in a case like that, we'll notify the driver by sending them a letter within 10 days of the department receiving the notification. And at that point, then they will have to surrender the license, or if they present evidence to maybe contradict, or if they want to present evidence to say this is not true, then we'll set up a hearing and let them come in.
Okay, so let me see if I get this right, because, all right, so you have a family member that takes daddy to the doctor, and the family member daughter says to the doctor, says, look, my father shouldn't drive anymore. Would you fill out this form? Now, does the doctor, obviously he or she signs the form, and then sends it into the Department of Safety, and then there's an immediate suspension at that point? That is correct, yes. So what is the process then when the department gets the form? Do they send a letter to the driver, and say, don't drive anymore or whatever, or kind of tell us walk us through that process.
Yes. So the department will draft a letter, and with that letter, it will indicate inside that the letter was received from a medical profession, and that you've been deemed unsafe to drive, and that you're to surrender your actual physical driver's license, that your license are suspended as of that date of that letter.
Okay. Right, and then is there provisions in there for a hearing where a person can say, I disagree, I'm entitled to a hearing or something?
Or a test, a driver's test to prove that I'm safe.
Well, if it's medically, then what will happen is you can have an opportunity for a hearing, but there wouldn't be a driving test, because at that point it's deemed that it's not just a skills issue, it's a medical issue.
Yes. Okay.
Now, if there's a
So it doesn't matter how well they can drive around the cones or whatever it is, it's a medical issue, and so they have to prove that they don't have a medical condition?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. That could be a hard one for
it
them.
It could be. But there are some instances, for instance, if individuals have like seizures, that's one where we're required, it has to be 6 months seizure free. So the medical provider can provide that and say after 6 months this person has not had a lapse, so therefore they're eligible to have their license reissued.
Okay, so there are exceptions.
And I think a lot about older people with dementia.
Yes.
And maybe the decline is more insidious, just slowly declining and losing their skills. They may still be able to function that car, but they may not know where they're going. So that's still grounds for removal of their license, right?
That is correct. In fact, that's probably the #1 for our seniors is dementia, where we'll have to remove their driving privilege.
And then I guess I'm still thinking through from a family standpoint, would they honor that letter? I mean, I know the family would honor it, but would that person with dementia honor the letter, surrender the license, and then remember that they no longer have a license to drive? So the family has to get involved too, right?
Exactly. In fact, it's really a support system. The family or friend or anyone you get to convince that individual that it'd be in their best interest and for the public, or the safety, for the general public as well, to give up their license.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking to Michael Hogan from the Tennessee Department of Safety about how to report, say, unsafe drivers. Doesn't matter what age they are, I guess.
That is correct, yes.
But mostly it's about making sure that an impaired driver does not have a license.
That is correct, yes.
One of the issues that we've seen is, and we saw this and it just made us hopping mad, is that where the doctor told the patient, it says, well, you can drive, and clearly the family did not agree to that. Is there any education that you're giving to the physicians out there, about what you do?
Well, we work with them, and we have an independent medical review board. So in an instance there where there's a discrepancy between one physician and the family, then we will send that report to an independent medical review board, and then they review that and they'll make a determination, and then that's how we'll act.
Yeah. I'm just kind of wondering how many physicians really know that they could be not necessarily an agent for the Department of Safety, but basically to help protect the public.
Right.
And maybe there's some opportunity for physicians to maybe learn more about how this works.
Our experience has been that most physicians, they understand the seriousness of this,
and
so when a family member brings us forth, they do a good job of making sure that the person is examined to make sure they are qualified to operate that vehicle.
Right.
Are there other agencies that work with you about promoting the safety or keeping unsafe drivers off the road?
Yes, law enforcement. That's probably our primary agency, and then of course you have the courts, and then just in general the community. You'll be surprised, we get a lot of referrals from the community where they'll say this individual was driving, we noticed that it didn't seem like they were able to maneuver the vehicle. Law enforcement, whenever they write up an accident report, they will indicate on the report if they think this individual needs to be retested.
Mm.
Oh, okay. So if there's a citation or whatever, does your agency get contacted about that? If the officer indicates that they should be either tested or flagged for something?
Yes, sir. In fact, on the citation form that is presented to the department, because we record that with a driver record for the state, it indicates on there if that individual was sick. And if they was sick, then that's when we'll start a file, and then we'll contact that individual. And what we do is we send them what we call a proposed suspension letter. Right. They have 30 days to either visit their physician, have the physician complete the forms to say that they're okay, and if not, they can request a hearing. After that 30 days, if they have not responded to the department, and then of course at that time we will take action.
Right. So then the license is revoked or suspended or however way that works. But regardless, they are no longer able. They should not be driving anymore.
That is correct.
What about the insurance companies? Are they notified?
Well, the department didn't notify the insurance company. Tennessee is not a state where we are required to have insurance. Unless you're pulled over by law enforcement, then you have to present it. But as far as the state of reporting, it's not required.
All right. We're going to show contact information, but we have about 1 minute to kind of wrap this up. What's one of the first steps that loved ones can take?
Well, the first one is to have a conversation with that family member and bring whoever you need to the table. Sometimes a family member may not be able to reach that loved one, maybe a friend or a pastor. And then if that doesn't work, then of course we'll have to go through the administrative process of removing the driving privilege.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you, Michael. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the information. Maybe you have a senior that does still drive, and you want them to have better driving skills. Our next guest is going to tell us about that when we come back from this break.
Stay with us.